What's your big question?
Well, I watched a lot of footy on my backside over the last 7 days. I've got to be me bonnet, so give me a minute. When did the interceptors become the owners of football right now? The intercept defenders, when are they taking over the game? And we're heading for the most intercept marks ever since scores got recorded. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at you, and you didn't play down there too often. It's a disgrace from our brethren's point of view. It is a disgrace that we sit back as a big, manly... We stick up for them all the time, the match winners, pay them the big money, and they're sitting back being dominated by a bunch of defenders who have turned the tables on the forwards.
I can see you bristling.
I'm bristling.
Is it the individual, or is it the fact that the game is built around team
It's all that, and I think over the last 10 to 15 years, the whole coaching of forward lines and the way you go forward and the interaction between mids and forwards, I think it's been badly neglected. That's my observations. Right? I'm not at Clubland.
So you're not coaching at Bucks.
The way I watch it unfold is they've got, hey, let's vacate our forward line, take away the initiative and leave that area where you can dictate where opposition move, get out of there, and then we go, there's no connection. There's no connection because there's no one there. And all of a sudden we've got this group of dump kickers who are dumb kickers. They just dump the ball high up in the air, and the Moores of the world and the Ballards of the world. So anyway, wait. You can defend you a lot.
I'm just saying the pressure on the ball carrier is higher than it's ever been.
Yeah, good. So that's good as well. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Michael Voss, Michael Voss, and this is not all about Carlton because Melbourne were terrible as well. Michael Voss was asked about it after Darcy Moore owned the game against Carlton. He took 10 marks. We all laughed. You know, the Collingwood boys said they were laughing about it because Darcy was marking.
Still side bottom.
Got put the Vossy post game, and this was his immediate response.
I would only be walking out of here and being lost on the message that, defensively we're not good enough right now. But I'm not going to get lost in offence.
Yeah.
You can ask me about it, but I'm pretty clear on what we need to get better at. So I don't want to be confused walking out of here, guys.
I'm a bit confused, Vossy. I know you've got to get better defensively, but you've come out the next week, you played against Sydney, you did exactly the same thing. You kicked the ball, not to Darcy Moore this time. This is a bigger disgrace because the Sydney Swans have got no key defenders at their disposal at all, and the same bloody thing happened. You kicked it down the throat of the lizard.
Blakey.
Now, these are just 3 of them, right? Hand that ball off, Blakey does it. And this is, Nick Blakey is sensational. This one is, you've got a 2-on-1 you can work out. So instead of trying to work together that Sard and Wiedering, he just goes the same place. Now go to Wiedering, change direction. Charlie Kerner up the line can get somewhere. Look at Charlie Kerner. By the time he wakes up, the lizard's gone. So
is that system?
That's
or is that individual contest?
No, don't worry. I'm not missing the forwards.
Yeah.
Their willingness to compete. Here, terrible kick. Don't get out. Now, honestly, Brownie, back in the day, if that's you getting outmarked by that, I would imagine Michael Voss walks down a quarter time and says, if you ever get outmarked by Nick Blakey again like that, then I'll see you at training.
Well, he wouldn't have done it at quarter time. He would have grabbed me by the scruff of the neck during the game as the captain. Certainly, I know as a coach it's a little bit hard, but that is the number one golden rule, Gaz, is compete and don't get outmarked, isn't it? Bring the ball to ground. That's the number one function of a key forward.
And don't give me this, our personnel. They've got 2 gold medalists. Port Adelaide going into this round with a number 1 team in the competition that converted inside 50s to a score. No Dixon, no Marshall, no Georgiades. So you know what you do? You put a kid like Ollie Lord in there and you say, Ollie, you, every time I don't care what happens, you compete. And don't you ever get outmarked, and every now and then you're going to clunk one and it'll be great and you'll kick a goal.
Well, the other one is Bergman, who's played as a defender, and Ryan Burton, who's played as a defender, were asked to play as the deepest forward post and just compete against Dylan Grimes at different times.
Absolutely. And this is the reason, Gaz, why Port Adelaide... the best in the competition are conceding intercept marks from opposition, because a kid like this comes in, Ollie Lord, they haven't had Dixon, they haven't had Marshall, Finlayson smaller. A kid comes in and just competes and competes and competes. So his numbers aren't sexy, 10 disposals and 1 goal, but you know what, they would love him. Kenny Hinkley would love him because he doesn't allow intercept marks.
And even with those changes in the forward setup, Port Adelaide are the best converters for their inside 50s in the last month.
That's right. So, and Collingwood I look at and go, who are you taking as a forward? Brody Mychek? I'd nearly take Brody Mychek first because he competes like no one. He doesn't get outmarked and he hits the scoreboard.
I'm glad we're finally coming.
If you've been listening, I've been with him for a long, long time. So anyway, I've had a gut full of the interceptors. Good on them. They're great. But for our lot, just take it personally. I mean, that's a personal thing that you can be denied your opportunity as a forward in the manner that it has been over the last... Oh, and as I said, we're heading for the most intercept marks ever.
What's even worse, Gaz? is that some offensive plans ask you to kick the grass. You won't even kick to your forward.
Yeah, well, hey, when it comes to it, I'll take that rather than have the opposition taking intercept marks.
And it's an area that we jumped all over the Brisbane Lions big forwards, didn't we, Gaz? About 7 weeks ago against the Western Bulldogs. So Daniher and Hip were there. Number one function is bring that ball to ground. So coming up against a good intercepting team against Adelaide, there's just a lot of dump kicks on the weekend. So part of it is that entry. Like, they're just sloppy injury. But look at that, 59 kicks inside 50. They only took 3 marks. Granted, it was a little bit wet and it was a little bit predictable.
All of that is spot on, Brownie. That's staggering. And this is what I'm talking about, craft, about decision-making with ball in hand. 59 times and only 3 you've been able to complete a play to a free man inside your forward 50. That talks to connection. That talks to the fact that the forwards are gone half the time because they've got to defend up the ground. It is a mess.
But it also talks to Adelaide's capacity to pressure.
And they're great.
And they're as good as any to get, in your face, up front, not give time and space to the ball carriers. And Brisbane have been pretty good at being able to find that. They have been a side that's been prepared to take contests in the front half and stoppage when they get it. They're a territory-based team, but they generally connect more than that.
And then we watched, you and I did the game yesterday, and Aliir was almost the most significant player on the ground, and he was intercept mark, took 5, but at some stage you just got to go and engage, right? So Jack had his hands full. Aliir was doing pretty much what he wanted. There's a moment where Trent Cotchin late in the game, they couldn't get around him, right? He was everywhere.
Was a key contest.
2 on 1 there, he was doing it all. And then Trent Cotchin says, all right, I'll try something. So he just walks over and puts half a body on Aliir, right? Nothing special, but look, there's a changeover, right? So Aliir goes, I'll stay with you. Jack takes his man away. Aliir lets Cotchin go to the footy. Cotchin turns around, bang. It's about asking a question of these interceptors. Don't just let them run the game in the manner that they have and sit there and go, I'm a forward and I've lost all the initiative.
Yes.
Do something about it.
You're fired up. While you're at it, why don't you get stuck into your boys, the D's?
They were poor. They were poor going forward. Is it my turn to get into them?
Well, I saw a few poor things, You just have a look at this graphic that'll pop up for us. They're intercept marks. So Jake Lever and Stephen May. Obviously, that's the major strength. When Oppos go to work on Melbourne, they say don't allow those 2 blokes to take intercept marks.
They play Friday night.
They play Carlton.
Yeah.
What a clash. We're looking forward to that.
They can't take an intercept, and Carlton, all they do is give away intercepts. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Interesting, the numbers there, guys. I just want to ask you a bit about Stephen May. So, Stephen May, he's been a terrific player, great defender in the competition, but I'm seeing some things creep in. Old Coach Lee Matthews used to say, tip of the iceberg. When I'm seeing little things, there's a lot going on under the surface. I don't see a dog-hungry team that won the flag in 21. These are little things. Stephen May on his man, Amos. Now, May should be at least back on Amos now, who's been heading inside of 50, to affect that aerial contest that we're talking about, to either get the intercept mark or certainly stop the opposition big forward from taking a big catch like Tracy does there. So that's a little thing, Gaz. Now, look at Stephen May here. What's he doing? He's just guarding grass. Now, he has to know the dangerous spot is in the goal square. A little Nipsey comes down and takes a contested mark. Stephen May should have been there to take that. Now, what concerns me is this rubbing off on a younger teammate, a fellow defender there? Bowie looks at Banfield twice and goes, don't worry about it. And that was with 3 minutes to go. That was the winner. So there you go. I just wonder, and I question, is there that dog-hungry desperation to adhere to the principles?
Intercept defenders behind the ball rely on pressure at the ball, and I don't know whether Melbourne's has been quite as manic at the ball. But having said that, the tactics against Stephen May and Jake Lever in the last couple of weeks by Port Adelaide and then Freo have been quite similar. Force them to defend. Port Adelaide in particular got in behind Stephen May and made him turn his head and look for his direct opponent rather than being able to watch the ball and position himself to ball. So the tactics that both Port Adelaide and Fremantle have shown as a forward group answer your question. How do you get the most out of whatever you've got?
Well, that's forward craft.
Against a really good defensive side.
Take it away from the interceptor. Stephen May's been the best interceptor for the past 2 years. So there, you can do it. You put some work in and put a plan in place, you can do it.